I call the Honourable Minister, Chris Tremaine. Tēnā koe, Mr Tremaine.
Tēnā koe. Te hau Māori o rā. Whakataka te hau ki te uru. Whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mā kina ki uta. Kia mā taratara ki tai. E hi aki ana te a tākura. E tio, e huka, e hauhunga. Tēnā koutou. Ki te whare atu nei, tēnā koutou. Ki ngā hapu, ngā tangata o Maungaharuru-Tangitu, tēnā koutou. Ki ngā rangatira o ngā hapu, tēnā koutou. Ki a koe Bevan, tēnā koe. Ki a koe ngā hapu, ngā tangata, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Nau mai, haere mai, ki te whare paramata. Can I welcome everybody to the House today? Can I also commence my speech by acknowledging Meka Whaitiri, in my first opportunity to welcome you to the House, Meka, and to wish you well in your term in Parliament. But most importantly, today we're here to acknowledge this treaty settlement with Maungaharuru-Tangitu, which is a collective of hapu from the beautiful Hawke's Bay and from an area which I represent, the Napier area. And this rohi sits, as Reno described it, between the Esk Valley, which is a place that I actually live, Reno, and sit in that particular part of the area. My home is in the Esk Valley. But the area is actually more than that. It's not the Napier Taupo Road is actually the start of this area of the Rohi. It goes up the coastline, the Tangitu coastline, which includes the Tangoyo, Tate's Beach, Waipatiki, Aroparanui, all the way up to the Waikari river mouth, and the Rohi is north of that, north of Waikari River, then goes inland to Maungaharuru, which is a mountain range to the west, and then down to the commencement of the old Ahuriri Lagoon. It's interesting, Maungaharuru, Maunga meaning mountain, Haruru meaning roar, actually talks much of the history of that particular area was where there were many seabirds that used to live, petrels that used to live in that range of mountains, and actually the roar of the seabirds flying up in the dawn was a memory from those days, and something that actually I know the hapu are trying to reconstitute, working with the likes of Julian Robertson, who is an overseas investor, but who's put in $1 million into actually restoring the bird life in that particular area. So that gives you a sense of the area. In the middle, Lake Tutera, but it is one of the most beautiful parts of this country. That coastline, Waipatiki Beach, just stunning part of New Zealand, and it's no wonder you would want to look after that part of the country and to defend your rights in there. Can I acknowledge the different hapu that are here? Ngāti Kurumokihi, Ngāti Tū, Ngāti Whakaari, Ngāti Tauira, Ngāti Te Ruruku ki Tangoyo, and Ngai Tahu, who form the collective of hapu within the Maungaharuru-Tangitu hapu collective there. I've talked about the area so that everyone is clear about what we're talking about here and its richness, because indeed that is the case. I just want to also acknowledge the grievance that we hear. Many members have talked in the House today about that, and we've talked about the apology that the Crown has given. And no one is trying to defend what happened. It is a situation that occurred where land was not necessarily, there was some raupatu, but where the hapu were left in a situation of economic and social deprivation, cultural deprivation, which we have had to acknowledge and to seek some form of redress for, which is, and I acknowledge the member from the Green Party that in talking about the level of compensation that is paid in these situations, it will never totally fulfil what has been lost. But we do need to make steps towards this, and I think for the Green Party, you do need to acknowledge that you are part of the Crown making this settlement. You are part of this process. So, yes, while we can criticise former governments for what went on, this is a way forward for all of us. And I think that's the important thing, particularly if I reflect on my mihi at the start of this. This was talks about a new dawn, a new beginning, and I think that's very much how we need to, the perspective we need to put around this. Today I want to particularly acknowledge the people who have been part of this settlement, who have driven this, who've shown leadership over years, not months, but years. Particularly Bevan Taylor, who I acknowledged in my opening mihi, and also Tanya Hopkins, who, when we sat at the Tangoia Marae there and listened to Bevan give a mihi about Tanya's work, you got a sense of the efforts that she has put together to bring the different hapu together and to make sure that this settlement got momentum and then got to signing. So can I acknowledge you? Can also acknowledge the other members of the settlement team there. I think you've done an outstanding job to get to this position, which is superb. The settlement is a way forward. It does have economic, social redress and cultural redress. Obviously the 23 million is part of that economic redress going forward. There are some forestry settlement in there, but also really importantly some key reserves that are returned. The Opuahi, part of the Opuahi station, the Opuahi Scenic Reserve. Opuahi is just at a stunning part of the country up behind Lake Tutira. Opuahi now has the Kiwi Recovery Program within it, and then the Boundary Stream, which is behind it, Dockland, just some stunning bird life in there now, and it's just a magic part of the country. But my encouragement is to use this settlement wisely. I know that we've got very esteemed people within the collective there who will use this investment wisely and take the hapu forward into the future. And it was actually exciting to sit there at the signing of the treaty and to talk to people such as Bevan to say this is, even though he'd found the process difficult, I acknowledge that, that actually this was a way forward for everybody in terms of addressing some of the wrongs that had happened historically. So I'm personally excited about the future. I think it is a step forward and a way forward for all of us. And I think when you think about the mihi I used at the start, whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai, e hi aki ana te atākura, he tio, he hoka, he hauhunga. It does talk about a new beginning, a new dawn, and a new way forward. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. It's really a huge privilege to be part of the settlement process, and thank you very much.
I call the